welcome, welcome, welcome. We're sitting here today. We're going to start or kind of add to a podcast we were doing, but just call it on third at this particular time. So I'm here today with Alex from Brew Bar, and we're going to just have a nice general sort of casual conversation about pretty much everything we've been through, I think, maybe over the last year and a half, and then what we're hoping for, how maybe it impact us.
Yeah.
Maybe some emotions, maybe not. Yeah, maybe we'll ignore those things, but just nice general conversation.
Everything we've been through, we're looking at like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, just on one topic. Yeah, and then we'll
chapter 1.
We'll revisit every day for the next 7 years. Welcome to life currently. So, so with this podcast, being here with C47, that new business here in town, they've got this little facility available to anybody in town to come in, figure out a way to, well, not just here in town, but anybody willing or wanting to produce a podcast and not have to go out and get all the equipment and technology and learn it all. Come down here and put together your own little podcast, like even Brew Bar, as you've talked about before, right? So,
yeah, actually, I think this is something that for when I was learning all about podcasts and starting to follow podcasts, I always actually wondered how it was done, and there's so much equipment you gotta go get, and people say that it's simple, but I mean, when you have something professional that you can just come in and your lighting is fine, you've got the ability to have somebody to work with. Plug and play is key.
It's key, right? Yeah. So that things that you don't have to worry about. You just got businesses to run. Yeah. Come on in, pop down here. Like Pro Body across the street, going to come in here and do a podcast. They were the one that supplied the sparkling juice that we're having today.
Yeah.
Pretty tasty,
healthy
right?
energy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, right? So we'll find out. I mean, I've had one before, but I'm not very affected by the caffeine and such. So I'm not really ever very aware of.
Well, I'm on sip number 3, so I'll check in.
Yeah, you start sweating. Mm-hmm. It's working. So with your knowledge of coffee, Alex, right? We'll get to that other stuff about the shitty year and all that other stuff. But with your knowledge of coffee, and I like to say, and I've said it to people often enough, is that if coffee didn't know what it tasted like, it would call you up and say, what's my profile?
Yeah.
Right? So that thing, and I think we've even mentioned it before, but where does that come from? Is that something from maybe the way you were raised and the foods that you ate or the culture? Where did that sort of thing happen? Or was it you were grown up, moved out of the house, fell into a rhythm with people, which I think is what it was, right?
Well,
or a combination of a few?
Combination of a few things. Right. First of all, every time that coffee calls me, I put them on hold. Just
fuck it.
Your
you
call,
know what it is.
Endless loop of your call is very important to us. Please continue to hold.
Your call is very important. Right. It's just a jacked up thing. That'd be good.
So I've always been sort of a geek overachiever ever since as far back as I can remember. I mean, I'm talking about everything from like Legos to enjoying puzzles and games like chess, and also always demanding to be at the adult table.
Okay.
So growing, so as a kid, I was just that wherever the adults were, that's where I wanted to be. I figured that I always had my eyes forward. So when I tell my story, I tell people that when I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, my answer was very simple. It was always a grown-up.
Okay.
Can't wait for people to stop telling me what to do, and I want to be in charge of me.
Were you naturally a good listener as a kid, or were you sort of like you got involved?
I think that has a lot to do with the fact that for a period of time I was raised by just with the women in my family.
Okay.
And they are very chatty, and conversation is a major part of a culture. My mom is Chilean, right. And so I grew up with my mother, my grandmother, my cousins, and my aunts, and we were there's always conversation happening. We're the kind of family that as you're having a conversation, if somebody gets up and starts moving to the other room, you just get up and start walking with them.
Yeah, it seems like almost magnetically attached.
Yeah, everybody moves around together, and the conversation never stops. Till you get the door slammed in your face because I'm going to the bathroom. We'll just take a break. But I mean, so it led me to seek out other spaces and things like that where I was already comfortable interacting with adults and having conversations.
Okay.
So, I sought out places like coffee houses. Not to mention the fact that as a young insomniac, I was already like creeping out from my room in the middle of the night and flipping on the television. And you can come across all kinds of old movies and BBC
I was going to ask, what was it that you saw?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Three Stooges late at night or cartoons, or if it was film.
Well,
like, did they film?
I did. It was a lot of independent film. What was interesting, my mom, still sort of learning the culture here in North America, when she realized that I was getting up and watching TV, and we had those televisions with the dials on it.
Yeah.
So she went out there with freaking super glue and super glued the dial to the television in the room where I could get to channel 11, which at the time was KPBS. Thinking KPBS is the same at night as it is during the day. But it is not. That's where I learned, are you being served, keeping appearances, Mr. Bean, a lot of English humor, dry, and very dialogue heavy. Then, of course, as I continued to grow up and had more control over the programming.
Strong enough to unglue
the thing. I found things like Bravo. I was able to watch in the Actors Studio, and was able to check out on Mondays they had international independent short films.
Okay.
Oh, it blew my mind to be up here and hear pretty much the same language everywhere that I went, but I could get into these programs, and even if I didn't understand or if I couldn't figure out how to get the subtitles up and running again. The general sense of emotions, people's body languages, all of those things I started to tune into pretty early. And then there's probably an element of my upbringing in a particular, in kind of that conservative religion that I grew up in.
Religion, Catholic? Christian?
No, it's Christian religion. It was actually Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
That was part of my early childhood. Yeah, all of the wood.
Alex is here. No, right? I was knocking. Right? And Dave,
hello. Yeah. Are you trying to sleep? I've got a couple of magazines for you.
Have I got something right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had to. There was elements of things you had to overcome. Like public speaking was a major part of what I learned from growing up associated with that religion.
Yeah.
Getting out of my comfort zone. Like you said, just knocking on people's doors, and then
most people don't want you there.
Pissed off.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Or Saturday morning.
They treat you with no sort of humanism. It's just like you're bothering me. You're dismissed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sort of, I think that's cool. I mean, in a lot of ways, you really almost want to do that in your life.
It's cool.
Right? As a strength, as a thing. You're like, not everybody's going to like you.
Yeah.
Deal with it, right? And not everybody understands what you're saying. They're just very opinionated quickly.
Yeah.
And just dismissive, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. So
Best way to get rid of a Jehovah's Witness, you know what it is, right?
Open the door naked?
No, just invite them in. Hey, come on. They're like, oh, shit, right? Be overly aggressive about, or meet them if you see them coming up, open the door and be, yay, come on in. They get terrified.
I like wigging people out and telling them that, I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness and my first girlfriend was Mormon. We're not allowed. It was all about that Romeo and Juliet shit that I didn't learn until I got into theater.
Right.
But all of this, I guess, is leading up to answering your question, meaning that I always kind of found myself in and looking for situations where I could get into conversations, where I could be around people who were older than me, who could tell stories I've never heard before. And all of that led me to the coffee house. I mean, the television shows I was watching, the coffee houses where all those conversations were having. Right. That's the place where, as a young adult or even as a teenager, even as a kid, really, you could approach any adult in the room and it wasn't weird, right?
Right.
Your 12-year-old, if you're in a bar wandering around, people are like, "Where the fuck is your father?" Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah. We can say whatever we want. Yeah.
So
Right.
Fuck
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it became this thing where, the coffee house, especially the local coffee house in the community, was a place where you got to know, other parents. You got to know, the moms when they were out with the strollers. You get to know if, all the rhythm of the community, and you met like grandparents and everything down to, the kids that weren't yet still not going to school. And at some point, I because of the activities that I was a part of growing up in my religion, I basically wanted to take over my own time. So I found independent study, and that is the thing that sent me directly to the coffee house. So I got out of, I just went to the coffee house, and I had my stack of credits, as they were called, and I would just go through my schooling, and all you gotta do is finish a workbook. And that blew my mind when I was a kid. I was like, wow, I have to fucking sit in a class for an entire year to get this credit.
Right.
But in independent study, they just give you a book and a workbook, and as soon as you finish with that, you take a test, it's done.
It's interesting. I grew up not knowing about that. Yeah. And it's really like it's the only way I think anybody should learn. Like there's certain aptitudes most people have, right? And I think I derailed. I think you've almost answered your question.
Almost.
Right? But I want to kind of, I think in that educational system that there's certain people that excel in that independent learning.
Yeah.
And some people need somebody to go, hey, and give them an attention. And some people need to be handled kind of softly.
Yeah.
And so there's different temperaments, but if you find somebody who needs or could flourish in that, go out and get them. Say, hey, we're going to sit down and have a conversation. Here's how we think your attitude or your aptitude, your intelligence is deserving to have this go on. You can get out of high school in the 10th grade with a pace, and that in these industries, the service industries, you want that.
Yeah.
Not this complacent sort of like wait till it comes. It's no. You can do 10 things at the same time as opposed to waiting to do one or another. So.
Yeah. It's great. Going straight to the coffee house, I ended up sitting there all day. So that became sort of my
About what age would you be?
So, whatever.
13, 14, 16? 13.
Probably 15, 16.
Okay.
I was already though going to coffee shops and hanging out for the open mics, and the fact that I could get like super mocha whatever the heck's with caramel and whipped cream and all that jazz, and you're bugging out on something.
Right,
it's not necessarily like alcohol or anything.
Right.
But you're feeling it, and you're like. You kind of like there's a vibe, there's kind of like a flow to the room, and so I learned a lot about the environment and about like how I was feeling in connection to that, what I was looking for, by just being at a coffee shop doing the schooling thing.
Right.
And fantastically that gave me a long period of time of observation where I was learning. What works, people watching, right. Watching people who are like, what can I get you?
Right.
And noticing who's getting like tipped and who isn't getting tipped, and like the faces on customers, and I started just taking all of that in, because it's like watching an independent movie.
Yeah.
It was like being immersed in something that felt.
You were watching a live action film.
It was cool.
Like something real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that touched something inside of me, and I didn't quite realize.
Like your aunt.
Yeah. That one time.
Yeah. Excuse me. Right. Yeah.
That's just like basically like it's I don't know, like I didn't realize. It was subconscious for me,
right.
that I was more drawn to this than I knew I was. And then I went. Then of course we get into college, and people are like, you got to prepare for the future, and money, also money, and there's nothing more important than money. So don't forget money. Right. So yeah. So you're supposed to, you're talking to a counselor, and they're less discussing you and your interests and what you should study, or like trying to get you on track according to you, and mostly trying to kind of prod you in the direction of what is generally considered successful.
Right.
So of course I drove my entire like family nuts and went was like, oh, I want to, you know.
How would you pronounce the word money backwards?
Money.
You know what I mean? Yum. Yeah, maybe yum, right? I don't know, but it'd be kind of the thing, like you did totally the opposite.
That's gonna be that's our upside down.
How would we do that?
That's our upside down reality. Now I tell you that that coffee became a thing that I realized everybody was looking for, all ages across the spectrum.
Right.
And then everybody could talk about it. So an older person would ask a younger person, "Hey, what is that? What are you having? That looks good."
Right.
When the heck, and you don't see that everywhere else. And then a younger person would be able to approach an older person and ask them just anything about what they were drinking, about like what's good on the menu. It becomes this callous, or no, what's the word? Not callous. It's becomes
chalice. Like, are you talking about like a cup we can share?
It's just
chalice,
no, yeah, like pass the chalice.
I'm sorry.
It's what's the word for this catalyst? That's
yeah.
Becomes a catalyst for interaction,
engagement.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when you how and it's as long as we've known each other, we've had conversations at great length. I'd never asked how long. Like, when did you move to the States? At like what age? How long were you down in Chile? And you spent time there.
I actually spent my summers in Chile and was actually born here.
Yeah, well, I knew you were born here, but I knew you spent time there, and I think I just
kept going back there. Kept going back there. By the time I was like, so I stopped going was right around midway through high school.
Okay, so you had coffee experiences both here in the States and there? Okay. Well, that's got to be really
and home coffees.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And a different style, a different brew.
Different type of breakfast, too, all of that. That was interesting to be exposed to early on. And then it's interesting because, here I am rambling about all kinds of elements that I feel are directly connected to the answer to the question that you asked me, which is about coffee. This is typical me.
Yeah.
You ask me about coffee, and I start talking about life.
Right. Well, I mean, again, coffee is life in a lot of ways. In the way that you live your life, it is. It's a great representation. The way you've brought in music, the way you brought in community, the way that you look at your business as to what it's doing to the block, it is life. You know what I mean? You're not taking it as, I'm going to go Maxwell House and drink whatever you give me. You're considered. I mean, I know you consider the profiles of the coffee. And again, it's that going back to what does coffee taste like? Coffee wants to know. Alex goes, well, you're supposed to be a long flavored, sharp to begin with, subtle at the end, kind of stuff. You've changed some of the ways that I drink coffee.
So and that is, for me, coffee. I look at coffee as a part of my journey, as really my gateway drug. It's what led me to it. It's what led me to more of what I
mainlining, right? Yeah, right.
That
one shot of espresso was saying, you're like, I'm gonna do some heroin. Gateway, let's fuck the little shit, right? I'm gonna skip the weed. I'm gonna skip the mushrooms.
Everybody always refers to coffee as liquid crack,
right?
It's insane because coffee is this thing, right? And everybody that you meet growing up has had some, even if they haven't had it yet, they already have an opinion about it.
Right. They watch somebody sweat. I'm so jacked up on the coffee.
Yeah. Something.
Right? Kids coming to school, like the youth that are drinking coffee. Used to be, it was an adult thing. Me growing up, it was an adult thing. You just wouldn't give your kid coffee. The coffee culture, again, like when I was growing up, 7-Eleven started in 1964.
Yeah.
Right. So 7-Eleven was really the first to-go coffee cup in the country. Right. And there was other people that we went, had our breakfast at the cafes or the lunch bars or the breakfast bars, the delis and what have you. But it wasn't as prevalent. It was sort of like periodically, like even the families waking up. Grandparents would make a pot of coffee, sit it around all day, but it wasn't imperative. I can't leave the house until I get a cup. It was sort of something you had maybe on Sundays.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting, the growth of that. Hey, I think you've got the answer on that. I would like to kind of shift gears.
Go for it.
And talk a little bit about the music you're doing, right? And sort of like, I'll state what I appreciate about it, and then kind of just talk a little bit about kind of where you'd like to think it goes, right? But to walk by there and hear so many different sounds that are not always represented, or if they are here in Chula Vista, they're almost mariachi, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very traditional, well-known, well supported thing. But the younger groups or the younger players or artists, musicians, I like to fucking call them musicians. I'm an artist. They're musicians. They get to call themselves musicians and artists. What the fuck do I call myself? And people go, when I say I'm an artist, they go, oh, what do you do? I go, I fucking paint, you weirdo, right? They go, well, I play, like I don't even mention it. Right? Like, I'm not a musician, I'm an artist. Oh, so you're a cook. No, I'm not a fuck, so I want to take it back. I want to take back artist. Fuck everybody else. Yes, there's artistry in everything, in culinary and design and automotive. There's artistry in it, but you're not, like you're a musician. Fucking stick with it.
We're fucking living art, man.
Right. So again, to get to a point there. So you've brought in a place. You've created a place where multiples of people can show up, and it really of quality. We talk about Joseph's, and we talk about the pianist Louis.
No, his name is Irving Flores.
Oh, Irving. That's right. Yeah. And so to see that. You got to feel pretty good about that. I mean, that idea, like at certain nights, sit back and just kind of watch the room, like Tony down at Barcelona. He had that thing going on, like the Latin sort of swing, sort of jazzy kind of thing going on Sundays. And I was sitting in there one day and complimented him. He thought he should feel proud that people were walking by him smiling. Yeah. Even if I didn't stop in, the kids on the bikes rolling by with moms and dads looking in, but the eyes widen a little bit. So that idea. So thank you for putting it out there. The world being sort of like you're open it up or keep doing. Would you add more to it? Would you, or maybe what are you satisfied with? Maybe that would be, I think, the question I'd rather hear or have answered.
I think I love this follow-up question because it directly ties into the tail end of what I was explaining before, is that I look at looking at coffee as my gateway into everything else that I fell in love with.
Oh, like your music. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
your piano. So
another. Yeah. There's music. There's other types of beverages. There's other types of things that do this work, this catalyst work, this I don't know, this the impetus for more,
right?
So music was always a major part of the coffee houses I went to when I was young. There was always like an open mic. Somebody was up there telling jokes, reading poetry. My girlfriend left me. I almost jumped off a bridge, blah, 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 blah. And then I had fourth period, so it's like, you're exposed to that. And then somebody else who's been writing poetry for twice their age gets up and reads this 2-page long, like
heart hammering,
beautiful thing. Right. And so it's just incredible. That sort of environment was always a part of the coffee houses.
So the mixed bag of tricks, right?
Yeah.
That's, continue on with the question, but just sort of add to it. But it's that mixed bag of tricks. You're sitting there kind of like looking at the room and going, man, what a bunch of cool weirdos, right?
Right.
Well, like you're giving them a stage.
Right. Exactly.
To be weirder.
Yeah.
But, we embrace that weird.
Open
we
mic.
like that.
And the beautiful thing about an open mic is that the centered, the focus that the microphone has, and that amplification that a person can have. So you're able to. I mean, we hear these freaking words all the time now on podcasts, on the internet, on YouTube, on Instagram, freaking TikTok. The word is platform, right?
Right.
And so now everybody's got their platform in their fucking pocket. It's the cell phone, right?
Right.
But before, open mic was a sort of a platform, and people would go do the open mic circuits. They knew that there was like tonight at Tuesday,
cleaner, right?
This Thursday,
cleaner, more like.
And people would show up, right? People would show up,
yeah.
And they would look. They knew that John was going to show up and play those 4 songs that he plays really well,
right?
And he was going to.
But now that I can watch it maybe online, I don't have to go down there and witness it firsthand, maybe, right?
So but also, John doesn't have to leave his bedroom anymore,
right?
As long as he's got like a microphone and his phone, he can just do it there. And then you have to find him amongst the sea of platforms.
Yeah. The plethora.
The plethora of it. I always thought that word was so kind of raunchy.
Yeah. Like douchebag.
Yeah.
It's like, between the word like cunt and douchebag, right? I mean, I hate saying it, but I've always thought douchebag sounded like a worse word.
What?
Yeah, like
it's
what?
Still like,
it's got
what?
that douchebag.
Yeah.
It's like what? Right?
That's why when I meet one, I call it like I see it.
That motherfucker's a douchebag. Yeah.
No,
you want to start talking about some of the douchebags? Let's line
I'm
them up.
telling.
Here we go.
Let me tell you, on Third Avenue. No.
Yeah. I could give you addresses, places you should go, and it is something. I need to be very honest with you. I do want to create some of that kind of thing. Like, what do I like about Brew Bar? What do I like about C47? What do I like about Barca Nombre? What do I like about him? And what don't I like about him? And just being honest, not to ruin, not to machine gun stuff, but to give everybody sort of that thing, like with, like we're vaguely, we're walking around. People, like, I don't know some of the shit people talk about me. I mean, I have a general sense that some people do. Like, I mean, I know specifically a few people do. Boom, 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 right? But that kind of thing, like, most of the shit they say is inaccurate.
Man, I mean, that's the thing about honesty. Huh? That's the thing about honesty is is that it's sort of self-serving until you encounter another person being honest.
Right.
And now instead you have these two honest perspectives, and that's really what it evolves into, right? It's honesty and honesty, and when honesty meets honesty, it becomes perspectives.
Yeah. Well, but then you come to a sort of thing. Like, I love having conversations with people and learning stuff that I didn't know. Yeah. And again, like, I'm only assumptive that I know stuff because I'm walking out my door with the knowledge I have currently. And it takes a conversation to change that perspective. I don't defend it. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things I know just to be accurate. It's a round planet, that kind of stuff. There's certain things. I won't get into huge arguments. Some people who are incapable of letting go of what they think they know.
That's my perfect segue back to your second question.
I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep derailing you and see how good you are at returning back to that.
I mean, it's because then, even in your attempts at derailment, it actually ends up supporting exactly this idea, this concept, right? So I've got music in there. The space itself is, I don't consider my place a coffee shop.
No, I know that. Right. It's one of the better things about it.
I really don't. Yeah. And the reason that I don't is because you have to challenge the assumption in order to be intriguing in any way, especially in the modern world, right? What is this place? And you've seen my spot. It's minimal. It doesn't have giant poster boards. I mean, I had to for COVID for a while, but it doesn't have giant poster board menus. It really has keywords that you can see as you're coming through, but really it's about the vibe.
Money.
Yom. It's about yom. And the thing is that you what you were talking about, I remember walking by Barca Nombre when they had live music on Sundays, and that sensation, and I was like, damn, man, this is my neighborhood. I grew up here,
right?
And this is the city that I lived in the longest in all of my childhood. Moving around, my folks moved around. Yeah. So I mean, I started in Palomar Elementary. And from Palomar Elementary, I went to Eastlake Elementary, to Bonita Middle, from Bonita Middle to Eastlake High School, to Southwestern College, to a couple of classes out at SDSU, and then back to Southwestern College, and actually, I have to say, back to Southwestern College at least 6 more times, because that's how all of us do Southwestern College around here.
Oh, yeah.
It's an endless loop of I'm going back to classes.
Where are you going?
Southwestern College.
I'm thinking about going.
Quite honestly,
I'd like to get into the art program over there and utilize their equipment.
Yeah.
I want a ceramic studio down here. I can't afford or can't fit the equipment in. Not that I can't fit it physically, but I can't fit it logistically into the space. But I want a ceramic studio. So
I see you in front of the music department with your sign. You're not fucking artists. You're fucking musicians.
Oh, that'll be well, great the shirt.
We just start I'll walk around behind you with a kazoo. No, this is what the vision is. Live music in my space, but something that isn't intrusive to the space. So it's something that's happening inside of the space. So
it's another flavor in a cake.
Right.
Another ingredient.
Not to mention the fact, right.
Yeah.
And I have that limitation from my license that says no amplification, no amplified entertainment. So I take that.
You know that would be changing soon.
Yeah,
right?
I
within the next 3 months.
Yeah.
They're going to review all that stuff.
I had heard that because they've got people. I mean, I don't know these.
Well, Chula Vista is built on the retirement village, like a retirement community, and everybody has that sort of staunch belief. But almost everybody politically, anybody like Mary Salas is going to be not stepping down, but her tenure as mayor is going to end about 17 months from now. But each of the replacements, everybody running, and not that Mary negated that change, but it just wasn't really in the mindset. But everybody now is thinking about how do we allow for some of the things you've been doing, I've been trying to do, Tony's been trying to do. Chula Vista Brewery's been trying to do.
Yeah, if they would stop surprising us with telling us that everything is okay, and then in 2 weeks you're all out of compliance and everything you're doing is illegal, and you were never like, I was told that I was never approved for my outdoor crap, and that's bullshit.
Right.
Because I signed up. Literally, I sat next to Tony.
Yeah.
Who's a mentor for me.
Right.
Because I'm a new business owner.
Right.
And and Tony's been in the service industry longer than I have, and thankfully, so he was open to me coming to him and asking him for advice. He says, I don't know, this is how I'm filling it out.
Right.
And I would sit next to him and fill it out. And so I was step for step following. I always have done this. If I don't know something, I'm gonna go find somebody that knows it, instead of just fucking it up my own special way. Right. Which is just depends. I will fuck things up my own special way when it comes to other stuff.
Hell yeah!
But you mentioned retirement town, and that's one of the things that I'm adding to Brew Bar. I'm actually dedicating an entire day to all of Thursday. Is going to be for I'm trying to design a way that will help me sort of tip my hat to the community that I know is feeling the pinch and watching the gentrification and the change of their town and kind of pushing against that change. So I want to create a space in the middle of all of this energy where they feel invited, comfortable. And I'm working with a couple of other people.
Right?
Yes, because they built this thing that we are now arriving into, and and that's the thing. It's a historic area of Chula Vista.
Yeah,
there's history there. I mean, there's things that we can respect, and we've seen it in other beautiful developed areas similar to this, like you mentioned before, like a Nashville or there's art districts in Chicago that I remember where they're it's all this new stuff, right? But the building is preserved, and this is the history of this building and all of this other stuff. And I think that's here clearly in Chula Vista. Have you been down to the Paloma Hotel? Everywhere, all of the rooms are named after something historic in San Diego and in Chula Vista, and they've got these beautiful pictures. I mean, there is history here, and
Elvis used to come down there and use a pseudonym. I can't remember what it was, but Elvis used to stay there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's hardly anybody that knows that.
That's cool.
Came into town, fake beard, fake mustache, the whole bit, well disguised.
Yeah, just needed to chill.
Yeah.
And
Chula Vista was known like that. It's an interesting, the whole agricultural history, and then the aerospace.
Yeah.
Two theoretically extremely different things that Chula Vista was internationally known for. Lemon capital of the world, tomatoes, various other, a couple of different peppers, but agriculturally, and everybody got along down here. It's probably one of the most inclusive cities in Southern California, whereas everybody were living together for quite a long time, and nobody seemed to have any sort of superiority, over anybody else. It was just sort of living down here, living in a kind of cool thing. And it's one of the things with the changes, where somebody's got to be man, we were chill. We were chill for years.
Yeah.
It's almost stayed invisible for a very long time down here. But that change still we're trying to make.
Well, I remember I was bouncing ideas off of you one day, and you helped me sort of remember a term that is very recognizable, and that was blue plate special.
Oh yeah.
And then another thing that sort of disappeared out of our industry. I remember it was a major thing when there was a lot of these chain restaurants everywhere, like Sizzler and Marie Callender's, Red Lobster, all of these. You know, you go in and there's senior discounts. And you go into any hipster coffee shop right now and you ask for a senior discount.
The movie in this complex right here, there was a movie theater.
Oh yeah,
remember it had the senior day, senior
Isn't that
specials.
why that's where the gym is, and that's why they have that giant building in there? Built that way specifically because
for the theater. Yeah.
We're
sitting in a swimming pool right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I can't remember the gym. It was built for women. Curves, I think maybe. But this was this was like an all women's gym. This whole part of this structure. So we're sitting in the swimming pool. Yeah.
Wow.
So you need a towel.
Inevitable.
Inevitable,
right? So you go into it like what it's funny because I definitely am a professional in the specialty coffee industry.
Right.
But I will always poke fun at my own industry, and I think everybody, especially when they become comfortable in their industry, should do that, because that's kind of how you sort of test the resiliency of your fellow professionals, so like I still like, I think it's funny that the industry for coffee, for example, started to want to push out the people that wanted to be there. So you've got this like, sign posted on the wall that says 45-minute seating time limit. You only get 45 minutes, and then you have to move tables, or you have to like buy more or something, and it's all really, you already feel uncomfortable the second you look at that sign. You're already like, well, how long was I going to be here?
Yeah, but it's, again, like the industry has changed so much. It used to be, like they grab one to go, right, kind of thing. Almost every coffee shop had that sort of fulfillment thing. But where, the spoken word and the becoming a music venue, it changed. It changed the whole thing. But some people who come in there not to buy anything, like owning a bar for as long as I had, anybody like come in for the $3 special who held on to that for 4 to 5 hours. What was the purpose of that special? And you don't want to intoxicate anybody, but you certainly want to know that they've come in, oh, that's cool. The first one I'm going to refresh, but then I want to try something new. I'm not going to stay with the cheapest thing and just try to almost stand around and do nothing. It's not good for the business.
I get it.
Yeah.
I
so
totally
again, commerce, the idea you open a business. But, I know the button, and I appreciate the fact that you're pointing it out.
I'm going to bring it from a different angle to try and see if I can knock you off your chair a little bit.
If I was wrong.
But you're a fucking bartender. Right?
Yeah. One of the
and you didn't, and part of the part of your arsenal, part of what your skill set as a bartender is being in control of a space, being in control of the room. You're the boss, right? And that's one of the things that never was taught to the baristas and the crews that were working for mom and pops growing up. So being in control of the space and being able to interact and be in charge of the space, be the mom and the pop, right? Of the shop. So when their business owners were there and they would say, hey, stop that. Everybody would stop, right? But the 16-year-old kid that you hired to make a cappuccino, who doesn't give a fuck about the cappuccino and doesn't care about what's going on over there, whether or not that, the guy's asleep in the chair or not, like that, those elements of running like a professional environment,
effective shop.
Those were never taught, right? And then things started happening in the industry. The coffee industry exploded with things like coffee schools. Right, I went to Portland, Oregon, to go participate in one of those, the American Barista and Coffee School.
Okay. And
that's where they start teaching you, like, what is espresso, and there's a lot of esoteric stuff that you got to wade through, because again, culinary art, and what are you cooking? Are you serving? What is clean? Do you need a spoon? Is there a spoon? There is no spoon.
Right.
Like
espresso.
It's like you go through all of this stuff. But I always was aware of the fact that like there was growth that was needed. There was control. There was something that was missing, right? I'll tell you what. This is going to be cheesy, but I remember being incredibly inspired by Rick's Café Americain, which is from Casablanca.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. Rick was in control. That's the guy. He was the boss. Right? Don't play that fucking song.
That is cheesy.
I told you not to.
That is cheesy. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's interesting to think.
But can you apply it to an industry? And I was like,
yeah. But I mean, it's funny though. Yeah. Like
Because right, you're just thinking, oh, it's Humphrey Bogart, and he's an expat, and of course he was going to try and create an American style like environment in Morocco or
Right.
Bangladesh.
No, Morocco.
Is it Morocco? Where's Casablanca? Now I'm going to be an idiot.
All right.
I'm an
Africa,
idiot.
Right?
I can't fucking remember.
I'll pretend I answered it. I'm trying to remember. Right. So.
Hey, let's ask the magic voice.
Oh yeah.
In our headphones.
Morocco.
To look up where the hell Casablanca is.
Took place. Yeah.
So basically these are the things that I noticed. So music, I'm serving coffee, right? There's the expectation on coffee service that starts Morocco.
Yeah.
And so like the
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's awesome. The internet should work like that. That's how the internet should work.
Right.
And it does in the Matrix. Operator.
Right. You don't even you just think it and it shows up, right? So I'm in a spelling bee and I got this working. What is the word? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Can you use it in a sentence? Yeah, spell the word fucking super. Right. You know,
yeah, right.
It'd be kind of cool if that was like, can you use that in a sentence? Yeah, you're a complete fucking weirdo if you don't know how to spell. Burr, burr, burr.
Oh my gosh, man. So every one of these things, and going back to your experience as a bartender, you realize that like if you go into a dive bar and you what is your selection? What do you expect your selection of wine to be at a dive bar?
You as the customer, right? That kind of thing. Like anybody coming in, like I'm going to a restaurant and I see that there's a style of food and it looks like there's an ambiance. I should expect 3 to 5 different Chardonnays with different hints and different notes paired. Right. Red wines, same sort of thing. Probably a variety of about 9 different red wines.
Yep.
On the whites, the Chans, the Chards, and just to be able to, pull that all together. There's something based on a dessert. But walking into a dive bar, I'd like a quality thing. And I always said, like if you think of Robert Mondavi, if you came in and got only because I think you should never drink a crap glass of wine. Like I would never bring in like a Rambauer for a Chardonnay. You shouldn't expect that at a dive bar.
No.
But you should want a quality wine. And I've had a variety of your wines and they're phenomenal. Right? So, but that's a different animal. But a dive bar,
a red and a white.
A red and a white of palatable quality. Mm-hmm. And like you want to come into a dive bar and order a specific tequila in an echelon higher than, a Goodwell, a Better Call, and then 1 or 2 premiums. Right. But to think that you could come in and say, oh, I would like Don Julio, the age, no. Here's 1 or 2 in those segments.
Yeah, you want to go buy a $250 shot or neat pour of a special whiskey. Go to a whiskey bar.
Exactly.
Right.
Like small bar back in the day, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Even I was just at Aero Club, right over there, and that place is nuts.
Are they done now? Are they going to be done?
They're still there.
I heard that might be leaving.
I don't know any of the.
When was the last time you were there?
I was just there, just like within the last week.
Okay, yeah. So I've heard rumor or sort of that he's finally decided he's out. And it used to be one of my
Let's
favorite
go run
places.
that place, man.
Yeah. I think it's being renovated. Like I think the whole block. Like I think it's going to be a housing apartment thing. That's what I think I've heard.
Interesting.
But that used to be like one of 3 places in Southern California or San Diego County that I would, if I was on a bender or I kind of didn't want to be found, I was in the Aero Club, the Blue Lagoon, which is in Claremont Drive, and the base there. It's no longer there. They've torn that building down, and like the waterfront downtown that got popular.
There you are.
Yeah.
This is my favorite thing about talking about dive bars is that we recognize them as environments.
Right.
We know that there's some stuff in there that we'll recognize that we can order and that we'll know how to order and how to deal with in terms of product. But when it comes to dive bars, even when you say let's go to hit a bar, I mean you got to be specific. Are we going to go to the club? Are we going to Are we going to a place that specializes in tequila or specializes in whiskey? Are we going to a place? I mean, the options are everywhere, right? But when we're talking about bars, really you choose based on the environment. Yeah. And it's something that I solidified when I went to Paris, and I had the opportunity to be in Paris, and I went to brasseries, which were like there's these little bistro sidewalk cafes everywhere, everywhere, like 7-Elevens everywhere. just with like, really but like imagine if you had if every 7-Eleven had like 70 little tiny tables and chairs sitting out in front of them with like a bunch of people like sitting there and smoking cigarettes and drinking their thing, just looking at you as you're walking in and out.
It's a very interesting thing. So like that European culture thing, and I gotta say that I haven't really spent a lot of time in it. I've been very aware of, and I've longed to kind of like some of the cities I've visited and like a lot, like Portland and Seattle, spending some time in New Orleans, that thing like where you can go and sort of linger in and amongst the street, in and amongst the thing. And I think Chula Vista, that thing like that I aspire to see is some of the stuff like that. Those nights when you've got music going on, maybe I've got some music, Tony's got some, but there's a hustle on the street. But it isn't just I'm going from here to there. I may be, but I'm also lingering a little bit and kind of keeping an eye on stuff.
That's our uphill battle.
You and your crowd of friends kind of having a bit of a giggle kind of thing. And even though I'm not part of that conversation, I just like knowing it's going on. Yeah. And the bewilderment of kids kind of walking around and, couples going, hey, we should come back here. I know we've got plans to go, but we should make a point to come back to this. This looks enjoyable. And that gets to be the kind of thing that I think we really have an opportunity to do, and especially being national, the idea that we've got such an influence of people.
Well, now, for example, you go to different spaces. We have a very segregated service industry now in terms of the way things are served. We have wine bars. You go to a fine restaurant to get a nicer range of wine selection. But now you can go to a wine bar. Not just a wine tasting space on a vineyard somewhere, but like an actual place that that the selection there is selected by somebody who's like obsessed with wine.
Right.
And you could do the same thing for going to tea shops, and you can do the same thing. So the idea of spaces and going to places for certain reasons is really something that has been popularized in the last couple of decades.
Do you like it or don't?
I do and I don't.
Yeah, okay, baby. I think that would be the right way to answer that, right? Yeah, there's certain things like, hey, we're going to go out tonight to have wine or tea or whatever it might be specifically. Yeah. We can go there and we were going to be surrounded by a bunch of like-minded people. Right. One of the good things, one of my favorite things to do, and I'm going to kind of chat on a little bit about this. Yeah. We're going to go out tonight. I'm not going to bring my phone with me. I said we'd meet wherever at 7:30. We're going to catch up, all of us, whatever, we're going to pile down there. I'm not going to be walking through the door. Hey, where you at? Yeah. And you answer your phone and go, oh, I'm at the bar, and me to look over and wave and still talk to you as I get there. One of my favorite things to do when walking into any place I didn't know or any place I wanted to frequent, I liked walking by people. Like I made eye contact with you and your friends. How you doing? Kind of thing. Not going to maybe stop and have a conversation, but aware of. You see a couple ladies, you maybe say hello, that kind of thing, and you just kind of, you're aware of the room and what's going on there, and you go, oh, like I know later on tonight, I can ask questions, you can mingle, right? But you get an idea of who doesn't want to talk. Man, fucking cool. I won't talk to, and some people, but that was intriguing. But now, like, I think we're sort of in our own box or bubble. Like, we're going to go out, our crowd is going to go out tonight, and we're not going to talk to anybody else. I don't have a care as to what your friends are doing over there or them. I just want to hang out with my friends and sort of develop that storyline instead of like I've always liked to, we know each other well enough that tonight if we're out and I'm having a conversation with anybody, you'd be like, oh, he's going to fucking chat on with a bunch of people. Yeah. And then at the end of the night, instead of me saying, oh, my old same, kind of narrative. I kind of learn something. I'm going to hear something about where somebody's from, what they like.
That's the beauty of socializing.
Right?
That's the beauty of the nature of the animal that we are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's one of the big things. So like when we first started, so I think we've answered a lot of questions, kind of. At least we got a nice general sense. I don't know how you feel, whether you feel satisfied that you've answered some stuff. But one of the big things that I wanted to talk about, it was the idea that that social component, that thing, right? So last year and a half has really made that different. And I think it's for me, it's made me feel like I'm comfortable enough to be alone. There's a certain amount of my artistry or my creativity that needs a little bit of that separativeness. Mm-hmm. But then when I'm out and about, I want to know everybody. I want to bum, and I don't care the volume. But I think we've changed our sort of. We know we want it. I think the COVID kind of made us know that we're really missing it, but there's not, like, it seems difficult to maybe re-engage people. Because again, like the political sort of separativeness, the sort of thing, the ideology of everybody seems to be so void. But my thoughts are that most people want to get along. Like 93% of the population, this is the math I figured out over the last 10 years. 93% of the people are cool. I just don't know you. I just don't know you. I just don't know some people. But they have no problem with me, and they're not really going to argue. But 7% of the people are just broken, and that's going to be the way it is. We should be able to go drink at the beach and just socialize. I'm not going to cause any trouble. You're not going to cause any trouble. And if we did, give me a $12,000 fine, not a $120 fine. What? Seems unfair. Not to me, not to you, not to him, not to everybody we know. They're not out there going to cause trouble. But that thing to kind of, so treat us like adults. I'm an adult. Right. If I want to carry my drink down the road and I start acting like an asshole, give me a $120,000 fine. What?
How often is that going to happen?
Yeah, but it should be the norm, right?
No, but I mean, how often you start hitting people with those kind of fines?
Right. Whoa.
And then, it's not
now
fair.
I'm going to police myself. I'm going to adult myself.
Yeah.
Oh, I can get a ton of trouble, not a $120 fine where I can brag about it. Yeah, I got a fucking fine. Fuck it. $120 isn't cheap. No. But it isn't $12,000. It's not $120,000. That changes your car. It changes your life. It changes schooling, vacations, all that shit. You can't. You like your buddies are saying, your friends are saying, your girlfriend's saying, "Hey, why don't we go to Hawaii? Why don't we go fucking do something fun?" I can't. I'm still paying for that stupid thing I did 9 years ago. What a lunkhead,
Man, I hate getting tickets on Third Avenue.
Oh, parking tickets?
I hate it.
Yeah, should.
$30, $60. If you fucking forget about it, and I always forget about it.
Who doesn't, right?
I mean, it's just like you have until this day to pay it, and then you're like, wait, who am I paying? And then you realize it's just this giant freaking racket.
Little loop.
It's wait, who did you say provided these for us tonight?
Across the street, the body shop. The
Pro Body. The Pro Body.
Yeah,
dude.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah. I gotta stop by and thank him for that.
They're gonna come over here and do a podcast too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having a conversation with them today.
This is really interesting. Like that was this is a
the berry.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the not quite wine grape rush.
So on.
But you know what you were saying, or where we were going with that, the socializing, the getting back to being a society.
Right.
Because we were fractured hardcore by this COVID thing. But I think we were more fractured by the fear that this very serious thing that we were confronting as humanity, I think the fear and the unknown is what really drove most of us nuts. More so than the solitude. More so than being not...
I would agree with you, but I think it compounds the solitude.
Obviously.
Right? So, like, if I'm fearful, if I have no sort of optimism, if I I can be cool enough, I can be like, okay, shit, I got to extend this. But it went on, and it's interesting the way that it was delivered to us. I look back, and I thought that we were going to be closed, from that March to the end of June, so the 1st of July. That was my mindset. So that was whatever, right? And then when it went July, and they were like, well, not yet, and they pushed it to September.
Yeah, that's because we had no serious national narrative about what was happening.
Right, so it was such a thing, but then that we were holding on. So it's again like if I had to hold my breath for 4 minutes underwater, could I, can I've done it before in my life. Am I ready for that right now? Well, I keep popping up, practicing whatever, and eventually get there. But then find out, the day I decided to hold my breath for that 4 minutes, which was an extended period of time, I found out I had to be underwater for 7 minutes. It's tough, So then you've got all these kind of secondary conversations going on. Well, so it's been an interesting challenge.
The thing that I've come to learn about, like physical ailments, the challenge of physical ailments, is that the fear is the first and most paralyzing part of it. Right. You hear the crack of a bone. I got hit twice on my bike by cars in Chicago, and that's, you hit the ground, and we know that we go into like an adrenaline mode,
right?
That where we're not really even fully aware of all of the shit that just broke. You're just like, ow, I think, ow. But then like day and a half later, you're like, ow, fuck, what the hell? And what I am, the analogy I'm trying to draw is that because we didn't have a serious narrative. Like I said, we didn't have a serious national narrative. We didn't have a perspective as a country.
Right.
We didn't have a perspective as individual cities.
Right or wrong.
Right. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
This is a protocol.
This is what we're going to do
for a period of time because we or somebody thinks it's right.
Right. We go. Right? So we go to the hospital. We go to a doctor. We go to somebody. Right. And we're like, I'm feeling this way, or I'm freaking out about this thing. What do I do? And they give you a little bit of protocol, some sort of like some sort of what is it? It's like a routine. It's a routine is what they give you to give a routine. Subconsciously, you're like, okay, I'm taking these pills in the morning. I'm taking these pills in the evening, and I'm like focused on I'm getting better, and I'm doing these exercises, and I'm doing all of this stuff, and I'm involved in the pushing through this ailment, right? This thing that we're dealing with, and then as a culture. Well, I didn't see that across the media, and I didn't see that and from city to city, everybody was doing different things.
Yeah.
Even across the border, I'd cross over to TJ.
The whole planet was doing something different.
Everything. And because it's unprecedented. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah, but it's not unprecedented. We've done it before with different diseases like measles and chickenpox and scarlet fevers and various things that affected people. The Black Plague and all those things that have occurred through history. We know a certain amount of things that we should do, and yet somehow with all the knowledge we have, we seem to have known less about what to do. And I don't know if it's because so many people have an opinion now, right? Yet without any great research. A platform, right? So like I get to have an opinion based on one article that I read, whether it's correct or not.
Yeah, but that's research.
Some people believe it to be, but yet there's no definitive voice where anybody ever turns and says, no. Regardless of what you believe, again, the flat earthers.
Yeah, but then you have
that kind
that
of thing. Like people that kind of go on and they've got their own. Like there's millions of people who believe that to be absolutely true. Didn't land on the moon, a bunch of different things, and we either did or we didn't. The idea that it used to be like during the vid, one of my things, truth was dead.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I did paintings based on that series, Yep. I killed, I had the outline of body figures on paintings and it just wrote truth. Yep. Meaning it was just dead. And it seems that way. It's still, I think we've come out of it a little bit.
Again, because people are starting to be more comfortable in their own skin and able to share their truthful opinions about what they just went through.
Right.
And I think that every one of those major events that you just listed in human history has ended with people going, oh, we went through this, we dealt, and then they start telling stories to one another,
right?
And then art and music and
reawaken,
right? And then you have this little mini renaissance,
right?
And so so Third Avenue. Here's a cool thing about Third Avenue in Chula Vista, is that we're a bunch of small businesses. We all were a part of this, this sort of train that was already moving in terms of like rehabilitating and bringing new life into an area of Chula Vista that was unfortunately just sort of like left alone for too long. And there's so much potential on Third Avenue, and I know we all know what we went through. The mall craze, and we all went through the 3
different malls down here.
Yes, it's just like so the little boutiques And that style of sort of like strolling and shopping, that is very European.
Right.
Going back to what I was mentioning, when I was in Paris, like that's what it is. You'd come across a little shop, and they specialized in pencils and paper and you know, and inks and and whatever. Next to that was a little butcher, and next to that a brasserie, cheese shops, whatever the heck, you know, tea shop. And it's like it's very similar. It's what we're looking for. In even San Diegans, when they want to get away, well, what do they drive up to Julian, and then they do the thing. Right. They start on the left side of the street, walk all the way to the end of it, and then go around and start coming back, and then stop in all the different little shops.
Yep.
That is what I feel. That's why I refer to the Third Avenue regularly as Julian by the Sea.
Well, that's kind of a cool one. I like that.
Because, you know, it's what I would like to see. That's the vibe that I would like to see coming to Chula Vista. Hey, what do we have to offer? So what was cool is when we went into that COVID and we were like paralyzed with a little bit of fear. We didn't know what to do. I mean, it sucks that that freaking going back to the money thing, right? That's the anchor for all of the conversations. It's all about the economy. It's not how we came through this as a community. It's how did we survive it monetarily. Right. Fuck that. Like, I get it, right? We have to pay bills, but I mean, like, at some point, like, I've been dealing with an asshole landlord, and like, at some point, you have to look past the money sign and understand that, hey, I'm not trying to fuck you. You're not trying. I don't understand why you're trying to fuck me. Nobody's trying to fuck anybody. We're just trying to survive. And if we can just employ something called patience, somebody said it was a virtue, I'm sure. Yeah. And like, we get to a point where we can get back on our feet again. But like the second, like this is, I mean, this is what we're accustomed to now. All of us consider it normal. You get hit by a car, I fall over on my bike, break my leg or whatever. I get hauled off to the hospital. The second somebody's there next to me, taking my temperature and my pulse and putting me into a ambulance, I'm like racking up a bill. And then I get to the hospital, and like nobody's talking about the bill. It's just happening in the background. Yeah. Tick. Like when you're filling your tank. Yep. And with gas.
But you know you're filling your tank.
Yeah, and you're watching it, and you're like,
if you showed up and dropped your car off, and I filled it up.
Right.
And I chose the gas quality. Right. And
91 octane.
And I did an oil change. I did a bunch of different things, and you came back expecting $20 or $30 worth of gas. It's a $700 bill. Well, you replaced, place your wiper motors, and they did a bunch of different fucking things, all that stuff. You're like,
didn't like your tires.
Yeah. But that's an interesting thing.
So this is what it is. Like it's part of. We are already considering this. We already consider this normal. Like if something goes wrong, there's money attached to it instantly. If something goes right, there's money attached to it instantly. But from a small business perspective, right? We stand unique in our little economies, in our little towns, in our little cities, because we haven't lost the passion yet. We haven't lost the vision yet. We still see it. You see it. When I talk to you and I see you walking down the street, remember I always wave, whether you're in the shop or not, for example. Right. Why? Because I know you're in here doing your thing, and whether or not you see me wave or not, but there's a sense of, hey, I know that guy. Hey, I know Art on Third. Hey, I know there's energy in there, and I'm going to acknowledge that. Right.
But even if you walk by and I don't see it, you're sending out a vibration. But then if I do see it, it's that sort of includes that appreciation, that sort of like acknowledgement. Right.
Which
so
is then,
how are you?
Instantly, if you do see it, right, then you know, hey, well, I'm doing my shit on the block, and you're doing your shit on the block. And that little nod. Yeah. Military do it all the time. Yeah. They already know. If you're just standing by this door, but I know that you're standing by this door and you're doing your duty. So nod, the salute, right? And that's the thing that I think small business owners should embrace a little bit more. And many of us on Third already did. We already look at each other as like we came through this as brothers in arms.
Yeah, to a certain degree, right? Yeah. Some of us. Right.
I know.
I think it's also made other people aware of it, right? So that thing, like you get back to it. I want to mention the patience thing. Right? Mm. So, like the double entendre of words, right? If I said, like patience, you say we don't have any. well, we stopped using patience as something that we control our, our temperament and that other thing, because there's been COVID and there's so many patients. It's got a negative thing. If I'm a patient at a hospital, that kind of thing, or a patient at a doctor office, then there's almost like impending doom instead of that kind of thing. So like the insurance company, Progressive. It's very progressive the way that you introduced the coffee to the block, the thing that you want to do. It's very progressive. It's got no political agenda, right? Which people do believe it to be now, right? So if you say you're progressive, it's almost an insult, right? But then also if I say progressive, you might start thinking of your automotive insurance. It's a monthly bill that you got to pay, and you're fucking, like kind of thing, as opposed to the word meaning what it was supposed to mean. So it's weird. When I listen to conversations, I'm always going, like the language. So like even if like there is like the hidden agenda, like when you watch a commercial, the stuff that's supposed to be in the background that we don't see, even though we see whatever.
It's all designed.
Yeah, but like that idea that they're using words, and then they choose a way to make the word not work the way it was supposed to. So when I compliment you, you actually feel insulted.
Yeah.
So when you hear the word patience, you should have some patience. You get fearful of, ooh, wow, kind of stuff. So I think there's a real interesting, and I think English language is the most sort of manipulatable for the listener. So the way that the word, like we have so many different double meanings for particular words, or at least they sound similar, and yet they mean two distinctly different things.
Like, I loved it. Like, Javi.
1 hour, just so you guys know.
Okay, and you think we can wrap it up fairly soon or whatever? Yeah. Is that be about our goal? Is about an hour?
Yeah, I would say like about an hour, and then because we're gonna go film next door too. So.
Okay.
Sweet. Well, it's funny, Javi over who's on our blog all the time. Yeah. So
who doesn't know Javi?
Who doesn't know?
Let's give a shout out to Javi.
Yeah, Javi. Going along with what you were just saying right now about words and their meanings, they had there was a moment where he was close to a group of people that had a scare of potential exposure to the virus.
Okay.
Right. So I saw him a couple of days and I say, hey, how are things going over there? Like, did you what's the development? And he goes, all the negative vibes. And he's referring to,
oh yeah,
everybody's negative. We're all good. Nobody has Nobody has a positive. Nobody has a positive. Everybody's got a negative.
Right. Like, so it's a very funny thing. Like you think about like positive or negative, the HIV things from years back.
Yeah.
It's like, well, like what positive should be a good thing. But again, like I understand that it's mathematics. Negative and positive on a battery, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's a very manipulated, or not manipulated, but at least you could, depending on even if you're not paying it, you're hearing that conversation. We're having one. You're hearing that. You're like.
So Matt,
floating around inside there.
So that's the thing. I think ultimately with Third Avenue and going along with that sort of like, how are we triggered by vocabulary? How are we triggered by the way vocabulary was used in the so-called leadership coming through, COVID? Because really, like, access to leadership was very limited, but it was frustrating because also everybody has the right to be safe or considered, be able to look around and do what they consider is safe for themselves. And that was a crazy experience. For example, when my father went into the hospital with positive for COVID, none of us could visit him. And he was having trouble and got really close to the edge there. He was shaking hands with death. And like, none of us were going to see him till, he was cremated.
Right.
And that idea, and that, again, all of this fear. But how are we going to get through this? And ultimately there was decisions. Some of us were going to stay open. Some of us were not. Some of us were allowed to stay open. And some of us were kind of like, saying we're going to stay open anyways. Third Avenue was very, I think, fortunate in that there were many places that fell under the category of essential business, right? But then you've got your art gallery that didn't fall under essential business. But you were fucking essential for me getting through 2020.
Thank you very much.
and that there was energy that you brought to the block. I mean, I was working. I mean, every day that I had an opportunity to see a fellow business owner and interact with somebody on the block, and be like, yeah, we're gonna get through this, and exchange this sort of encouragement. And even if it came down to like, hey, let's commiserate.
Yeah.
Pop a bottle and sit around. Coming right back down to the fact that like a location for me, when I wanted to open up a place for to serve, I knew it was going to be service industry. It's about serving the community, but it is about also having a place where people can feel like they can look for that. Right. Look for like a conversation, look for socializing, be exposed to something different. So I take it upon myself as a curator of the environment. That's why I look at places and like for example, like Disneyland. It's not necessarily just a place that's full of roller coasters, right? There's also random little shows, and there's also
brainwashing.
Right, tons of
what
that.
What are you doing? I don't know. For some reason, I'm going to go buy a Cadillac.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Right.
And like there's little movies you can go and see in there. There's shops that you can buy watches at. You can buy hats. You can get food. There's no age restriction.
Right. That inclusive, right?
Right.
It's the happiest place in the world.
Right.
If you want to be happy, you go there.
So that was my model. And wrapping it all up for me in terms of being on Third Avenue, that's what I saw that was missing on Third Avenue. There's lots of places that are community driven, local. Let's support local businesses. This person loves beer. This person loves making food. All of these things. But where's the place where mom can show up with a toddler and still have a glass of wine? Or where's the place where dad can show up with his best friend, Buddy the dog, and have a beer and maybe have a conversation with somebody, influence another person in the community,
right?
And that is what I think was really important. Got to find a way to bring something to the table and not just like open up as one more grape on the vine,
right?
And that's what Brew Bar is about, and that's why I felt kindred with you on the block, because you're bringing visuals and you're bringing an energy that also nobody else is doing on the block. So at the end of the day, 2020 sucked. 2021 is kind of sucking, but we're all but people are really a little bit more focused towards the future. We know that we can.
You see the future as a positive thing.
I do.
Yeah, so do I. However, I managed to pull that off. I do think that we can make it not just Chula Vista, not just Third Avenue, that kind of thing, not just my business or yours, but the entirety of humanity. If we allow ourselves to kind of realize we went through something difficult and we're still going through it, and we need to kind of talk away, use community to kind of get ourselves back to kind of a normality, and then kind of use it as a springboard to a better thing. I think we're in a good place.
You say normality, right? And that puts me right back into what I said earlier. I was like, we are social animals.
Oh, we are.
And we're gonna rubber band right back to that, I think, and be our social
slingshot ourselves further, right?
Yeah.
And I think like as the society, we need to know that. Like we all need to be aware of that. We are our captains. We are riding our life. We're sailing our life to the direction we want it to go. And you always kind of want to include other people in that. I'm not going to ride my ship and see that you're sinking and not throw you a line at least, or leave you the like a lifeboat.
Right.
I might not stop, but I'm going to at least try to help, or I may stop, but whatever it is. But like that thing, it could be a very enjoyable ride. Alex from Brew Bar, I think it's been an enjoyable conversation. I did initially want to try to make you cry. You know what I mean? Only because I felt like I had a really interesting emotional day, and
if you take this away from me, I might cry.
Yeah, maybe, right? Or if I took your hat,
maybe.
attach you to your hats. Thank you very much for your time today, and I'll apologize for not kind of fully allowing you to finish most of your thoughts. Yeah, I think you got close to a lot.
I have too many.
Well, yeah, that kind of thing. Like I think you and I are similar in that thing. Like we can spur it. I was very sort of appreciative of the fact that you knew when to go back to, and then how you did a callback as to something I may have just said and how it highlighted your thing. I think it was a very interesting way for you to be involved in a conversation with me. I liked it. So I enjoyed this conversation today.
I enjoyed being here. Yeah.
I appreciate C47 for the work that
C47.
they're doing. You know, the crew there in the back, the miscreants. And I mean that word the way it sounds, you miscreant motherfuckers. C47. Let's hear it for them. All right, so on Third, I think this is our first on Third effectively, though we've done some other stuff.
I feel like we've done this sitting outside of my shop until 4 a.m.
Yeah,
we're like
right.
you, me in a chair, a little table,
yeah,
and just like hanging out on Third because it's our fucking backyard.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
and we're
yeah,
just chilling out, and it's really nice to be able to have done this in this kind of environment, in this format with you, because I love just just chatting with you,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting to see what comes out of me. So, you know, as you mentioned earlier, we're conversating with other people, and we might learn something. But what's really interesting is that sometimes we don't think we're going to learn something from ourselves. But I'm always surprised at what talking with one person brings out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And what I'm willing to unveil and what I'm willing to contribute to the conversation in order to keep that rhythm.
Hey, one thing that I wanted to do today, which is kind of like, you know, like we're all busy, preoccupied with a lot of things. There are things I want for Chula Vista, right? And I hardly ever bring them up. I bring them up periodically. But like the 95-foot tall lava lamp at the waterfront.
Yeah.
With the rounded staircase, spiral staircase going to the top to an observation deck with zip lines off it. Now, I've mentioned it to a ton of different people, and I get like, you're a fucking lunatic, right? The zip lines going all the way down Third from E to H, you know?
Let's just get it designed
right?
and put it on Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, so like that kind of thing, like will the city approve it, that kind of thing. And even if it's 10 years down the road, even if there's the world's longest, tallest, fastest roller coaster in the country that is a form of transportation, part of the MTS, right? So you have an MTS card, you can get on that roller coaster and leave Chula Vista and go to Imperial Beach to Luigi's and get a slice of pizza and then come back and go to Brew Bar and listen to music. It'd be like, now it's not for everybody, but that idea, it would be an international draw, that lava lamp at the waterfront, you know, like those kind of things. I don't want to give them away for free, but then the whole pathway around from the harbor all the way around into Coronado.
Think about how historic this is, man. The idea is very much like the world. What were those? Those events that took place that created the Space Needle, the freaking Eiffel Tower.
What was that? The World's Fair. World Fair. Yeah.
The idea. We're all fucking connected. We are connected.
Why don't we bring back the World's Fair and have it in Chula Vista?
The Lemon Fair.
No, the World's Fair. Right? And we brand it differently. You know, like this year we talked about rebranding the Lemon Festival and call it the Lime Festival because it's something different. A lot of people don't know the historic connection to the lemons. They think, well, why wouldn't it be Lemon Grove, right? So why did we pay acknowledgement to it? Let's brand some new event. Let's create one that works for all of us. But the intention is, even if it's 10 years from now, Chula Vista is going to host a World's Fair.
Yeah.
And if it's not called the World's Fair, if it's not community fair, you know, like let's think about it, you know, and kind of maybe revisit it on another show, you know, keep bringing people in
because we need that. We need that.
A Space Needle. We need a Space Needle. We need
something
here.
like that.
We need a Ferris wheel down here. We need something like that.
As part of the cities growing up, they have these iconic things.
I'm going to talk about one more thing, the wall. Years ago when I was trying to get the funding for the wall, right? So, you know, they're going to build a wall down there at the Mexican border, I wanted the president of Mexico to pay me to build a wall. And I was going to go north. I was going to go just north of San Francisco to the original border and build a wall. But it wasn't going to be an effective wall. It was going to be more of a portal. If you'd seen the movie Endgame, right? So in that, when they all come walking out of that kind of thing, in my vision, that's as close as I've seen, other than my drawings. A little taller, but I like the lighting effect that had. But that would have been it. You're on the Mexican side of the border. I'm on the U.S. side. And we could walk right over and talk to each other without any freedoms, right? There's reasons to have a wall, maybe. Kind of, you know, there's a couple of effective things. But more importantly, but it becomes our Southern California place. We have our Burning Man, our music festival. So there's music going on the U.S. side, there's music going on the Mexican side, and we're sharing that, right? So not competing with each other. You know, Santana's playing in Mexico, and when their set's done, you know, Nirvana, not Nirvana, but like Foo Fighters start or whomever, right? Yeah, you know, and then it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But then, you know, it's not just.
You're talking about fluidity, and that's one of the things that I want to do. I want to do that in freaking in Brew Bar. That's why I'm in conversation with people in Mexico that are producing really amazing products that I want to feature.
Right.
And as something, it's funny because Cruce on Third Avenue, they came in with the idea of we're gonna just feature all of these products, and I wanted to do something similar to that.
Right.
Now that I know that they came at it 100%. You know, with all of that intention, and they're doing such a great job at featuring wines and beers and cuisine from south of the border. So I'm going to try and do something similar.
Take it up, do something different. As
you
right?
know, I always do it. I always look at the block and see
Yep.
what's going on, and then I make sure that I'm serving different beer, I'm serving different wines, and I'm serving different foods. I never want to step on my fellow business owners' toes. And while I do believe competition is a good thing, particularly in business.
Yep.
When it comes to what I'm trying to do, and how I'm trying to be a part of the Chula Vista community, particularly on Third, is as something that stands different. That is an option. I'm
over at your place having a glass of red wine, and you say, if you really enjoyed that, other than that, in that style. I don't have anything, but you go down to Barcelona at the corner.
Yeah.
He's offering a red that's in this genre that you're really going to enjoy.
Yeah, or I know I know the wines over at Cruce too.
Exactly.
And I know the wines at
in that same
Italianissimo.
sort of conversation, right? Yeah. But that thing, I'm sending my people from my bar, your bar, down to your location or mine, you know, and everybody's kind of sharing that kind of thing. It makes your experience on the block that much better.
Fucking Disneyland.
Fucking Disneyland for adults.
Yeah.
Yeehaw. Thank you very much.
I'll never stop talking to you if you don't turn these microphones.
I know, right? Peace out. Peace.
Bye.